Okay, in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to create a contact sheet in Adobe Lightroom. Let's go ahead and get started. I have 9 pictures of a moose I took over the summer at a family reunion. There are a lot more images of this moose, but these are the 9 that I want to add to my contact sheet. I've gone through and given them the certain number of stars and then turned on my star filter so that only these images show up. That just makes things easier to work with. And I want to start by selecting all of my images. So I'm going to just make sure I'm clicked on this one here down in the timeline, and then just press Control A to select all 9 of the images. And you can see I got them all the gray boxes around all of them. I'm going to come up here to the top right hand corner and I'm going to click on this print tab. And let's check a couple things to get started. First of all, make sure you're right here on single image contact sheet. And then over here on the left hand side, you might need to expand this out. Click on this 1 4x6 so that we have it just like this. And obviously only one image is showing up, but we're going to change that so that multiple images show up on the page. So let's come over here back again on the right hand side and take a look. Make sure the zoom to fill and rotate to fit options are checked. That makes life a little bit easier. And then right down here under layout, expand this out if you need to. Page grid, this is where the magic happens. This is where we control how many images show up on our page. So for example, I have 9 here, so obviously I'm going to do a 3 by 3. And you can see I got all 9 of my pictures of the moose showed up on the page. Maybe you're doing 6 images, so maybe you would just do 2 by 3, and that doesn't look very good, so let's try doing it the other way. Let's do 3 by 2, and there you go. That works a lot better for these images. So you got to kind of play around with it sometimes, just depending on the number of images you had. If we had 8 images, maybe we'd have to do 4 by 2 or 2 by 4. You decide. You play around with it. Decide what's going to work best for your image. I did want you to see, though, that if you end up with some weird shapes, you can come in here and click and drag and move these images so that they kind of fit inside the box better. So you can put it kind of right where you want it inside the box. You don't always have to do that. In my case, since I'm doing 3 by 3, they all fit inside the box pretty well. I can move them a little bit, but I don't really need to. So that page grid, that's where we really make things happen. Let's keep going down here. Here's your cell spacing. You can put a little bit of space between the cells if you need to. That's just more of an aesthetic thing. You don't need to worry about that. And these guides right here, these are things that just show up on the screen. These are not things that are actually going to print, so we don't have to worry about those. We could change the background color, but I think just leaving it at white is probably the place to be. Right here, though, for some assignments, I am going to want you to put the photo info. So let's check this one. I'm going to go ahead and check this photo info box, and you can see these file names appeared underneath the image. Well, I want a lot more than just the file name, especially for exposure assignments. So we're going to click on this, and we're going to click on Edit right here. And this box is going to pop up. And you can see right now it's including the file name. Here's a sample of what it's going to look like, image_1395. So let's click in this box right after file name and just press space to put a little bit of a space there. And next we're going to add the exposure. So I'm going to come down here under EXIF data, click on this, and I want the exposure right here. There it is. So I'm going to click on that, and you can see it automatically inserted it for me. So now I've got image 1395 and 1/160 at f2.8. So now I'm going to put my mouse after exposure. I'm going to click again. This time I want to add the ISO speed rating so we can see what the ISO was. So now it's added ISO 400. Let's click after that and do one more because I'd like to see the focal length. So let's click on focal length right there. So we've added the file name, the exposure, the ISO, and the focal length. Sometimes it helps if you come up here and put dashes in here just like that. A little space dash after each one. Which makes it a little bit easier to read. So now, image 1395, 1/160 at f2.8, ISO 400, focal length of 200 millimeters. There are a lot of other things we could include here, but we're not going to worry about that for now. We're just going to go ahead and click on Done. All right, at this point, we're pretty much good to go. We do need to come in here and tell it what printer we want to use. So let's click on here, down here at the bottom, click on Printer. I'm at home, so my school printer is not showing up here, but we print the printer that ends in 451. And we'll just go ahead and leave that at that. And then we'll go ahead and press OK. And then all you have to do is hit the print button. You will see this bar right here, this progress bar will pop up here in the top right-hand corner. It does take a little bit of while for it to process all this. So just hang tight and wait for that to finish, and then when it's done, it'll pop out of the printer, and you will be good to go.